Welcome back to Nerd and Geek University. This is day 5 of Dragons of Tarkir Spoilers, and we already have a few new cards to cover, so let's get started. The first spoiler of the day is actually a reprint from Return to Ravnica. The uncommon card is Ultimate Price, and for 1 black and 1 colorless, you get to play an instant spell that allows you to destroy target monocolored creature. In Limited, this card will be an excellent form of cheap removal for a very large handful of creatures even as of right now. In Standard, the card could obviously see sideboard play, but with Siege Rhino and Silumgar the Drifting Death among others, it will be very ineffective against these decks. But when Dragons of Tarkir is officially released, it will see play to destroy cards like Ajatai Exemplars and other similar cards. Silumgar's Command is a rare instant spell with a mana cost of 1 blue, 1 black, and 3 colorless mana. Like other command cards, as you cast it, you are able to choose from 2 of 4 abilities the card offers. The first ability allows you to counter target non-creature spell. The second ability lets you return target permanent to its owner's hand. The third ability gives target creature -3/-3 until end of turn, and the fourth ability destroys target planeswalker. This card doesn't seem as playable as the already spoiled command cards to this date. In the limited format, a 5-cost instant spell is fairly expensive, but depending on your opponent's lay upon the battlefield, a removal spell is never a bad option by either cancelling an effect that your opponent casts, returning a creature that they control, or returning a creature you control back to your hand to save it from an opponent's effect. Also, creature destruction by -3/-3 is never a bad instant to have in Limited, and if your colors are blue and black, removal of the only currently spoiled Planeswalker Narset Transcendent could be pretty valuable. In Standard and Modern play, this card would most likely be a budget option for players that are running blue-black decks. Standard staple for removal is Hero's Downfall, and costing 2 less mana to cast, Silumgar's Command will have to wait until the Theros block rotates out of Standard to Modern. Playability in EDH decks will most likely be a filler card or a budget option for most players. The next card to review for playability is Roast. Roast is an uncommon sorcery card with a mana cost of 1 red and 1 colorless. Roast then deals 5 damage to target creature without flying. This is not going to be killing any dragons at the time of this video because obviously all dragons have flying and it is a set called Dragons of Tarkir. In the limited format, this card is a definite removal card for red mana players. The potential to kill your opponent's creatures like the Warrior Flank card Blood Chin Fanatic or the Ajatai Exemplars. No more first strike lifelink for your opponent. There are other creature cards that can be played and removed with this card in Limited. In Standard, Roast could have a place in a red-white aggro deck as a removal spell. Guess your opponent's Siege Rhino just went up in smoke. This card could possibly be a replacement card for Stoke the Flames for once M15 switches out when Magic Origins is released. If this card isn't placed in Standard red-white aggro main boards, it is a possible sideboard for red-white aggro and green-red devotional to help remove opponent's creatures at a limited mana cost. In Modern, this card could help with removal for many of the Modern decks already in current competitive play. This may not be a main board card, but there is a good possibility for this card to be placed in sideboards for decks that are running red as one. Putting Roast in either an EDH or Tiny Leaders deck would definitely help against decks that have larger creatures to remove, especially those slightly larger creatures in Tiny Leaders like Onifins of the Foremost. If your EDH or Tiny Leaders deck is running red as one of its colors, this is a great addition to your spell count. The only drawback is that Roast is against flying decks, and in EDH where Kalia of the Vast is a very popular commander, it definitely isn't a good draw in that situation. The next card on our list is definitely a bland one. It's Shorecrasher Elemental. For the heavy cost of 3 blue, you get a 3/3 elemental creature. It has a Megamorph cost of 1 blue and 4 colorless, and you can also pay 1 blue or 1 colorless to activate one of its 2 other abilities. If you pay 1 blue, you get to exile Shorecrasher Elemental, then return to the battlefield face down under your control. If you pay 1 colorless, Shorecrasher Elemental either gets +1/-1 or -1/+1 until end of turn. In Limited, this card is kinda hard to play. You'll have to play him face down for 3 colorless if you're not going to play him mono blue, and you're probably not going to be able to anyway. Then you have to wait to turn 5 to flip him face up, but after this it's a decent card, specifically as a blocker. In Standard, the only use for this card is use with Master of Waves. In Modern, that might be the only use for this card, and then afterwards using cards like Cloud Shift and Deadeye Navigator to repeatedly activate Master of Waves' triggered ability. That's it for spoilers for this video. If you have any thoughts about Dragons of Tarkir, be sure to leave them in the comments section below. Remember to subscribe, and we will see you next time for more spoilers.